All right, welcome back to the show. You're watching Morning Cafe. It's Relationship Wednesday. And yesterday we were talking to women, and today it's an only men panel. So the question we are asking today is, why don't men open up? And we are trying to break the silence. What's stopping them from saying what they are going through, you know? What is the last time you actually asked a man how he's doing and he told you he's doing good? Not just ako sawa kabisa, say I'm good, and just brushing it off. So we have a panel of all men, and we hope it's going to be an exciting conversation. Karibuni sana, gentlemen. I just want us to start with this, and frankly, ni vizuri hata uko kandangu, before of course we bring in Nick. When was the last time you actually had a conversation and told someone how you are doing? Ukaambia mtu, you know, I'm actually struggling with 1, 2, 3, you know. Not trying to bottle up your emotions, just being open about your feelings. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Mm-hmm. And hold on your mic. Hold your mic.
Okay, thank you. I'm honored to be here. And it's good topic at this time that men need to talk. And I've done it because I'm the manager of Gashira Care Foundation here in Western Kenya. And I've explained more. Na nimefanya for several times. Because nikiangalia huko mashinani, youth wamekuwa pass through a lot of stuff. In it, depression. I remember even a certain time I had a depression. Na ilikuwa inanisumbua sana. But through Ngashira, who is my boss, alinisaidia. Na imenisaidia to build so that I can open myself. You know, sometimes you feel that telling your mom in Luya land, because I'm from Luya, that mom, I'm passing through this. Kijana, kichwa yako iko sawa. So I've been trying my best. Na I think that's all.
You're trying your best.
Yeah, I'm trying my best.
Lakini mbona mashinani iko na depression mingi sana, like you say?
Okay, mashinani imekuwa na depression mingi because one thing, we have a man who is young right now, ana kazi. You understand? Anatry kupenda msichana, mpendi. So you understand, at that time inamfanya kukuwa ina certain stress. Secondly, girl child wanapewa many priority. Sisi men hatuna. So uko tu pale. So wanasema wewe ngangana kama mwanaume. So even unajua watu wakikuwa high school, walikuwa wakiambiwa your dada akikuja shule, anakuambia wewe si lazima ungangane kama mwanaume. Wewe si mwanamke. Ndio utapembea. So sad things. But uko mashinani kumekuwa na lot of depression more, so ina lead even into drugs.
Hold your microphone well.
Yeah, ina lead into drugs. Na I think it's the right time. Even the government to make policies in which itasaidia hao wanaume. You know, they say, unajua ukiambia ladies, all men are not the same. Wanasema, all men are the same. But differently, we have different men who wenye wanatamani kusaidiwa. You see? So, nivo tu.
All right. Nick anasema kwamba sometimes it starts from the family level. So would we say that the parents are failing the men? Wakimwambia, oh, you have to man up, you have to be a man. What exactly is the problem?
I think personally, from my small experience, this thing is a systemic problem. It is something you get inculcated into the moment you are born. You first think that they are that it is good for you, and then you grow up, you realize it isn't.
It isn't.
Like for men, we are taught to be tough from a young age. Unaingia kwa nyumba, umetoka umelia nje ati nani amenipiga, unauliza mbona wewe hujampiga? Wewe unakuja hapo ukilia kama nani? So you're being taught by and by that it is you need to toughen up. You need to toughen up. So this toughening up eventually ends up to hurt you, because then now you do not know when you need to toughen up, when you need to be vulnerable, when you need to ask for help, when you need to, because all of us need help at some point, and you need to be vulnerable enough to be able to ask someone. So it takes, and I really do not blame our parents because they teach what they know, and this is what they know. They were taught like this. The parents before them grew in harder times. They grew during times of war and whatnot. And I think eventually, slowly by slowly, things are changing, and the parents of today should change with changing times. That now, how are you adapting your message? If you're teaching your child to be tough, what is tough in these times?
Yeah.
Because tough now does not mean what it meant in 1945. Yeah, tough now is different. Tough now is being able to handle the physical, psychological, emotional, financial, all those things. Your whole being.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's been a problem, but it's something that can change.
So you're saying that generation ya sasa hivi, we're talking about Gen Z sana sana. I don't know if millennials are also adapting up to this.
Yeah.
You're trying to say that we have focused more on soft parenting instead.
Yeah, you know, types of parenting still exist in their different forms, whether it's soft parenting or otherwise. Yeah, whether it's kangumu or soft parenting. But I think millennials especially are adopting soft parenting because they are a result, they saw for themselves, they experienced hard parenting.
Yeah.
And the hard parenting did not make many of their lives easier. You know, I usually make the joke ya mtu anakuambia, unajua mimi kama sio kupigwa singekuwa hapa. Na hapo mali anakuambilia ni wapi? Yeah. Angekuwa wapi? Hey, what do you mean singekuwa hapa? Hapo ni wapi ulipi? And what is telling you that kupigwa peke yake ndio imekufanya ufike hapo mali ulifika? And is it true that it is only through kupigwa ndio mtu anaweza fika hapo? So yes, it's true. More and more people are adopting alternative, I'd not call it just soft parenting, it's alternative forms of parenting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, when you said, unaulizwa kama mwanaume, mbona wewe usimpige?
Yes.
Actually, we were also being told that way, umerudi unalia, mbona hujampiga?
Hey.
You know, so I think...
No, but you know, for men, it was really different, especially ukipigwa na dem. Ukirudi ati umelia, oh mami nimepigwa na, you'd be asked, wewe ni nini unakuja hapo ukilia, unapigwa na wasichana? So the next time you'd not wait to come to your father or to your mother. You'll deal with it mahali uko nje in your own ways.
Unapambana nayo kwa mkono yako.
Yes.
Deston, karibu tena sana.
Thank you.
Now I want to ask you the same question where we started with Franklin. When was the last time you actually had a real conversation and talked about how you feel? Nje na I'm good. Yeah.
I think the last time was never. Let's start from there. I think I've never talked about my issues to people. Probably the things that they can be able to handle. But as a man, there are some stuff that you need to handle yourself. And I think for me, where I've never talked about it is the stigmatization that comes with it. And probably just let me draw it from a friend of mine who had married someone, and his wife was abusive to him. And so it was like a continuous trend. You come home and you're beaten. If you guys argue, see the way they say, if the woman is wrong, the man is wrong. If the man is wrong, the man is also wrong. So I think this guy had those cycles of abuse. And so for the longest time, he never spoke out and was like, you know what, I'm a man. And I think at some point it got now too much. Of course, you can't go to the police because the first person you'll meet there, ambia, hey, what's up? Hey, ati bibi amenipiga wewe, toka. And toka kabisa. So I think from that particular thing, but I realized when this guy started speaking out and now talked to his parents about it, what happened to him is that this was a big stigmatization. The people he worked for were seeing him as weak. The people around him, both men and women, saw him as weak. So if I look at that situation where everybody now thinks you're weak, since you're sharing your things with other people, or when you now open up, then what are the chances of me opening up? Zero. And probably maybe from this conversation I will think of opening up. But if it doesn't, still you'll maintain that as a man, you don't talk about your things. As a man, you need to wake up. And for me, how I interacted when I was young, being a man, when kids play and then you fall down and then you cry and go to your mom or your dad and there's wanaume wali, ebu amka. So for me, it was when you fall down, you have to rise. When you fall, so in everything. So in finances, in relationship, when you fall, you have to rise. Ya wanasema unakunywa kakitu, hiyo kitu inafanya nini? Inakutoka. Yeah.
Okay.
So that is for me. So me, I've never interacted and told people about my problems.
And I love that you've said maybe after this conversation, you're going to change that mindset. And I was coming to ask you that, why don't you want to open up? Because if you're talking about being judged, who is trying to be impressed here? Who are you impressing? Is it the women? Who exactly?
I think at the end of the day, we don't realize that when you share problems, you're still human. The thing is, we've already stereotyped men in such a way that they can be able to solve problems. And it's not just in our society, even from the Bible. They idolize man as the head of the house, as the head of these. So in every single space, whether it's our religion, whether it's our society, they've already been able to turn a man into like a supernatural being, that the world cannot exist without a man. I mean, like, let's look at a point where we can just be living and everybody just coexist the way they want to. If you really want to become the head of the house as a lady, just become whatever you want. But now it's the stigmatization that comes with you sharing up. And it's also, you're seen as weak. I mean, like, for example, there's this thing that has been trending and saying, when you open up as a man, you are gay. Well, why are you gay? So, I mean, that's just the thing. We have not been comfortable in a society, both the Gen Z or both the millennials. I was so happy even during the Gen Z protests, we used to see women in front. That was something idolized during all the protests, that men are going to be at the front line. Yeah.
All right. Nick anasema pale that people are starting to ask the questions of how will the society be without men. But sometimes when I scroll pale online, unaona, what would you do if we didn't have men in the society? And then there's a response there, who will protect you? And then they ask, from who?
From who? Or
Such
from
comments, from who and from what? I love that you've seen it. So comments, how do they make you guys feel?
I think for me that question borders on existential matters, because the structure of the world is as is. We do not, let's not engage in hypothetics that do not end anywhere. Like, why? It's like saying, what would happen if the sun did not exist? Or what would happen if there was no water in the world? Then you start going into theories and a very mysterious hypothetical world. But it also goes to underscore the importance of each and every one of us within this structure that we exist in. That as a people, the importance of men in the lives of women and the importance of women in the lives of men exist for whatever reasons. Yeah, we exist apart from the primal nature yetu ya procreate and whatnot. We exist for the codependence along each other. So the moment we realize that we are playing for the same team and stop trivializing each other against each other, then it becomes a very interesting conversation. That then it stops being our life is here to protect yours. It becomes a conversation of we are here to help yours be better. So that it's the same thing, but from a different POV. Yes.
All right. I would want to pose the same question to Tony Blair, because something tells me he'll have a very great response. Tony, good morning. How does that, a comment like that, make you feel as men when I know it was a response from a woman, of course, saying protect women from who?
Thank you so much. I don't think, okay, for me, it is because of our society has been like made to look like, you see. So even for me growing up, most of the times you find that you are expected as a man to be that source of strength in society. You are expected to be that person, the shoulder for people to lean on, you see. So I think generally it all goes to say as to how we have been perceived as men generally in society and how we are required to step up every other time, to the extent that we've made to feel that when you open up or when you speak up, then you become a weak man, you see. So that opening up has been associated with being weak, being feminine. And that is why I think Danson was mentioning that when you open up, people begin saying, why are you gay? Why are you weak? You see things like that,
Evans, when was the last time you opened up about how you feel? Neston amesema never. As long as he can remember, he has never done that. For you, have you ever done it?
Okay, good. First, I think I I happen to deal with the Center for Research and Innovation, and we've been doing several research surveys on the ground. I come from Tongaren constituency, and I can tell you, first thing we've been coming across is that we in Tongaren constituency, where I do come from, we have a place called a jobless corner, whereby most of the people who reside around that area are jobless men, very young men, very jobless. The reason is very few get job opportunities at their in their early 20s. And you know, nowadays you find that we have got graduate women. So you find that these graduate women, at times they look down upon us. They feel like we are of no value to them. But I think biblically,
do you agree?
Just because they have some papers. Now that maybe you never managed to be in the university, though you qualified with good grades, but because you come from a humble background, you never made it to the university. But for them, because they made it to the university, so they feel like you are of no value to them. But biblically, we've accepted ourselves that it is written that men should be there to protect the women. But now, the main challenge we are having when we do our research on the ground is that these very women are now, they are trying to come up with some allegations upon men, saying that siku hizi tunaweza jitegemea. You see this issue of siku hizi wako na mambo na ati sisi tunaishi maisha yetu. Hatuna haja, hatuhitaji wanaume katika maisha yetu. So those kind of challenges are coming up because sisi, as men, we are trying our level best. But they feel like we are not doing what they expect us to be doing. But we are failing to understand that in the job market, nobody is saying, men are going to be favored. In all job market size, ukiangalia, they are giving women opportunities. That is the truth. Even in government policies, look at how the government awards tenders. Hakuna mahali imeandikwa, these tenders are for men. LGBT people should be men. They're just saying women and youth and PWDs. Where have the men been left out? And why? You see, so I have a feeling that it is proper time that the kind of research we've been doing in various counties, so many youths are living miserable lives. The only proper channel is let this government of Kenya come up with proper policies that can help the youth of this country. I'm saying that because, Anne, you find that in the parliament of this country, we have 2/3 gender rule. Those who pass the bills are the members of parliament. They are only focused on the women side. You see, why can't we come up with a proper way of also empowering these men?
But you realize for a very long time, the men have been empowered and not women. So this is a time when now they're coming up to try and empower women, to give them spaces. Let's talk now about these parliamentary positions that you're talking about. I don't think it's just about the women being given priority. What do you think?
Oh, they're being given priorities because you find you are told women are being nominated. You see, nowadays, let me tell you something, Anne. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Saizi kazi hii Kenya, women, if you look at some statistics, you find that women nowadays get prime jobs. They have freedom of financial muscles. Why not shinda?
Because they qualify for them.
They qualify. Don't we qualify as men? We also qualify. But the challenge is that they are not giving us this opportunity. You see, you go for an interview, you are told, this and this and this and this. You have experience, but you find they are picked on a woman. Why are we not treating these people equal?
Okay.
We have had so many things going around in this country.
Just before you respond, we have somebody calling in.
Yes.
Catherine is on the line. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, talk to us.
My name is Kathy. I'm calling in from Meru.
Okay.
I wanted to give my intake on breaking the silence about men.
Kindly. We can't hear her, Director. Kathy, yes?
Okay, number one, we value men in our society. We love the men in our society, and I believe that men's leadership in any setting is very important. the men should also allow us. They should not feel like we are not supporting them, we are not rooting for them. They should also allow us to support them. They should not feel bad about talking about their issues, even to us women. They should allow us. You know, the problem comes in when they do not even allow us to help them.
Yeah.
They do not allow us to listen to them. That is why they feel like the society is not really rooting for them, not really doing anything about what they feel. But I think they should also allow us to help them, because we know that a man in every setting as a leader is very, very important.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kathy. So what Kathy is saying in simple terms, as men, you should stretch your heart muscles and allow women help you. A reaction to that, David? Daniel? Okay. Yeah.
Gideon.
Gideon. Sorry for that.
I hope I'm clear.
You are.
They say finally there is light at the tunnel. And that is evident because we are here to discuss one of the critical things that we are undergoing in the society. But before I continue, I hope this is our conversation. You see, I've just here one of the person who have just given us a comment. She's a lady. Yes. So I'm like, is she trying to neutralize the conversation we have as men? Thank you. That is just on a light note. My name is Gideon Mereru, the Chief Executive Officer of Okoa Vijana Initiative. When I hear of this discussion that we are having, finally I see there is light, because the generation that we are right now, we have abandoned and we have assumed the voice of men. And that is evident. After hearing my honorable members here who are contributing in such a good conversation we are having this morning, it is true, men are undergoing a lot. And we have come to assumption that, they are the strong in the community, they should provide. There is all that perception. But we need to break that into point, because actually we have fear that when a man fails, the entire society fails. How? We are all human beings created by God. And in fact, during the creation time, there are only two people who are created. That is a woman and a man. Why do we have to prioritize that when a society fails, does it mean that men does not exist? No, that is not a true thing.
Just hold on to that. Let's get this call from Gift before Toroke, but don't forget the point that you were making kindly. Gift, good morning. How are you? Talk to us.
Hello, good morning. I'm calling from Kisumu.
Okay.
And I'm a mom, daughter, young age 25, of two boys. And I do agree with Kwach on the fact that we should be raising our men differently, or our boys, to be good boys, good sons, good fathers. Though I would, I don't like the way the second last speaker was saying that men are not given men are not given equal opportunities like women. I feel like that kind of reasoning, he's a narcissist somehow. I feel like all since the world started, men have been given opportunities. And on this, we were talking about why men need to talk. Not being given, not that the topic was not about gender equality. It is why men need to talk. Their mental health, their issues, so that we can have good men, good sons, good fathers, good brothers. And say hi to Kwach. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Indeed, she's a gift to this conversation.
She's a gift to the conversation, definitely.
I don't know if we should start with you, Nick, before of course, we go to Gideon Aendele, now whatever he was saying.
But first of all, hi, Gift. But also, I agree that it's an array of conversations that we need to have. And one that we're having today is why we should talk, and which is also a very expansive topic by itself. And maybe another time. Because maybe the issue I've always had is it's never an us versus them.
Yes.
It looks like that sometimes, but it shouldn't be.
Gideon.
Thank you so much. Now, let me just continue with the conversation that I was having, that men are not given the opportunity even to express themselves. And this is a fact. In terms of leadership, how we actually take the perception of men. In terms of fear that men have, in case I fail, how will the society take me as a man? The first thing, we actually put in our mind that a man should be there to provide, a man should be there to protect, a man should always be there. So why do we have such perception? It is true, as a man, I need to protect my family. As a man, I need to provide. But the fact is, sometimes things change, and the situation we are, and also the technology that we are, things are changing. You find women are taking opportunity. If we take the example, the international bodies right now, they are focusing on women. And that is a fact that right now, in case of a small crime, in case of a small mistake right now, I'm sorry to say this, the only thing that will go viral is actually women harassed. When is that time that actually we can now come into conclusion, into agreement, that men also need to be protected? Because the fact is, we are also human beings. Sometimes we actually, maybe we are not employed. But you find, as a man, there is that voice that you are the person of this house. What are you providing? And the fact is, maybe I'm also struggling as a man. I don't mean that I'm not employed or I'm not even providing my family. But I'm just even speaking for those who are outside. The fact is, yeah, as a man, I need to keep quiet. And for how long will I be able to keep quiet? We are talking of mental issues. And actually, they are affecting us as the young generation, as fathers who have actually existed even before us. But people have made assumption on this. It is the right time that actually we need also to realize how can we be able to empower men in terms of leadership. Yeah, we are talking as a government. How some policy be made actually even to favor men.
But is that a reason enough for men not to open up when you talk about opportunities that should be given to men or women? I don't think. And you talk about men not having opportunities to express themselves. Who should be giving you these opportunities?
I mean, the reality is we need to empower them. Let me just speak from the point of reality. I may be here as a man, but I'm going a lot. But because of the perception that society will take, I may even fear to express. But if we are able to open this platform and actually empower them and let them to express themselves, I'm telling you it will be a topic of the discussion. Because they will be able to express themselves. You will be able to know when I talk of this one, my situation will be handled. So you find we have not able to empower them. We have not been able to give them a voice. We have not been able to give them attention. And that is why they are going a lot, because there is fear. We have actually isolated them. We have actually assumed them. And that is a reality within our circle. So you find people are saying, what is actually hindering you from speaking out? We have not been empowered. And that is a reality. We can talk of the right of women. During the reign of the President Mwai Kibaki, we understand that there is these issues that women should not, there is that, it's already in the law, but women need to be protected. And that is true. Like the FGM, which is actually the government supported that, and we agree that actually women need to be empowered. But when the laws that protect men should be put on place, I don't mean that men should not be circumcised. That is true. But actually put some laws that protect them. Yes.
I love that so much because Josh, good morning. I don't know if you should now start with the conversation of the last time you tried and opened up about how you feel as a man and not just trying to bottle up your emotions or could you feature Nyumaya, I am good, but actually just said, Apa nayo, I'm struggling and I need help.
Okay, thank you for that. Actually, to be honest, I'm talking to men. I always talk to men about my problems. Tony is a good friend of mine now, actually. So I have a circle of friends which we've been in the university for the longest time possible. And now that we're done, but we do share things. Just in case anything happens, we do share. So let me say that we need to break certain norms and expectations about men. Now that we are living in a world that has gradually changed. Nowadays, we don't do things as earlier on. So we just did, as men, we just need to talk. However much ladies need to be protected, as men also, we need to be protected in whichever the way. So I just think that as men, we just need to embrace a culture where we can just sit down, discuss something. When you experience a given thing, you share with your friends. Because we know that when you don't share and you get depressed, you die. Who will talk about that after you're dead?
Yeah.
So me, I think that it's high time. Men, we need to unleash that paradigm and learn.
You need to talk.
Yes.
All right. Asante sana, Josh. I'll be coming to you in a few, but we have a caller. Joshua is calling us from Kakamega. Good morning, Joshua. Kajiado?
Yes. Good morning. I'm from Kajiado.
Okay. Good morning.
Now, I'm seeing the contribution being made about men.
Joshua?
Why men need to talk.
Yes, please.
Now, I think towards a contribution whereby men are being said they are the one making, I think the bigger percent of people who are making constitution are men. And
Joshua,
again, I think
songa mbali karibu na TV. You're too close to your TV.
Yes.
You're too close to your TV, Joshua?
Nasema.
Okay.
Yeah, men are the bigger contributors of the constitution. Now, and yet they are coming after saying we don't have a voice. They make a law, and at the same time, they make a law that can suppress them. So I think nobody it's them that don't understand what their main role is. We make the law, we are the head of the families, we are the head of the community. We just need to press ourselves and think and reshape and take our own stand as a man. I make a law, and at the same time, I go behind the law saying the law is killing me. So it's only, we need to understand that I am a man and I should be the head, giving other people opportunity to work. But I think we are the ones that are feeling ourselves.
Okay. Asante sana, yes, Joshua. Thank you so much. Nick, do you agree with Joshua?
No, Joshua has raised an array of issues. I don't know which one to address to, but I just wanted to contribute to the earlier conversation that we are having. That when he says, for example, that opportunities are being kept away from us, my question has always been, by who?
By who, exactly?
Because the reason why that is important is you realize in the top 1,000 companies of the world, in many governments of the world, the people who are in leadership are men. So if anything, if opportunities are being kept from us, it is us keeping opportunities away from us. So that then, are we then saying that as we are addressing this issue, because the other question has always been, the 60% of us who are down here, we have expectations similar to the 40% of them up there. There are very few men with actual opportunities, but the expectation is uniform. If you are a man, you need to take care of your family, you need to take care of your company, you need to take care of whether it's black tax or not. The expectation is the same. Whether you have a job or not, the expectation is the same. So then do we maybe need to change the conversation to not be us versus women who's getting more opportunities or not, and make it more about what is the real issues that are making us not access these opportunities. Because we find as men, we are more prone to drug abuse, we are more prone to, the moment you do not have financial ability, I usually make a joke and say, a broke woman and a broke man is not the same. Expectation on the money of a man is not the same on expectation on the money of a man. Both of us can have 50K, but the man will have a mother who needs the 50K, a brother who needs to be taken to school, a child who needs to nini. And maybe, I'm not saying expectation is any lesser on the women. These days, things are different, but it could be lesser. Those are the real enemies to our mental health.
That 50K.
Yeah, there's still a girlfriend in that 50K, and her friends are also coming in that 50K. It's going to be a whole drama. So maybe those are the real issues that are so that then when we start addressing them, because I know for many, many men, and maybe those who've done the research will tell you, our problems start with the finances. And the finances cycle back to opportunities. So opportunities is what will eventually make us access the finances, which will eventually make us stop seeing our women as the enemies. A girl driving a car does not stop a man from driving one.
Yes.
It's just that if we set things in order and open up these opportunities for all of us, men are the structural pillars of a society. Their well-being is the well-being of a society.
Absolutely. Wiper, wacha sasa nikuje kwako. Why do men prefer to suffer in silence? And if you like, you can also just sprinkle the last time you actually had a real conversation about how you feel.
I have never had any conversation with anybody. So I've always learned to be silent on my issues, and I would really not share.
And why is that the case?
So it happens. The reason as to why this happens, it is. Let me just state unequivocally that our society is prejudicially designed, gender-wise. Underline the word prejudicial or bias. Our society is biasly designed gender-wise, and to a larger extent, it is to a favor of the female gender. The man has been indoctrinated, or rather encultured, into a belief that we should not always express ourselves or our emotions. So that is how our society is designed or other fashioned. And this is something that we should just get rid of. Why do these things happen? There is this what we call toxic masculinity. These are some of the factors that facilitate or rather cause this. Toxic masculinity, or rather this generally gender bias, where we say that men are meant to be the providers of their families. But I would really love to say that even if you get to a country like the US, men are taught to always be silent on their matters. So it is something that is a culture, or it is a social factor that always causes this. And I would really like to say that coming to our context, or rather in offering solutions to this endemic or to this problem, we really need to look into the policies, because it is a concerted effort. It is a collegial responsibility of us all. In as much as, based on the current trends, I've also seen men now trying to open up. If you get to social media, majorly based on X, there is this gentleman who called Abuya Master. Abuya Master, he has got like 10 kids, so?
Is it 6? Unamwekelea kwa
6? I don't know the exact number.
Labda 6 ni wale tunajua. Maybe he knows the others.
Acheni nyinyi. So the other day, I think it was on Sunday, he ran to Twitter and he said that the wife ran away and left him with the very young kids. That is one of the examples, the exemplary life things that we can state here. He came there and said that, my wife has just disappeared, and she has left me here with very young kids. And so she was just trying to solicit advice from the X platform, where there are a lot of opinionated individuals. But what was going on there was something sort of mockery. So men would really prefer to live to false life. Like we have also seen people have lived false life. I'm just trying to do a comparative analysis now. And something that is very pragmatic, or something we have seen happen. There is also this gentleman we have seen on X also called Caliph Cairo, whom all along has been flaunting well. We have seen him drive in helicopter and choppers. We have seen him drive Porsche Cayenne. While in another, it really just we came to realize that's the other day that Caliph Cairo has been living false life. So this is the kind of life that you have seen with Caliph Cairo is what men are going through. But I would really love to say that we have failed as a society. We have failed as individuals, as the male gender, but largely as a society and even as a government, we have failed in trying to sort out this mess, because our policies, even the manner in which they're framed, when we talk about affirmative action, we only talk about affirmative action for women. As a prospective member of parliament, one of the things that I've been pondering, or rather thinking about, I was coming to this show, was to really try to suggest that the first bill that I will present to Parliament when I am elected will be affirmative action for men when I get to that Parliament, because we really need to strike a balance, and we really need to focus on both genders for purposes of pushing together as a society. And to try to come in.
My question would be, what would affirmative action for men look like?
Affirmative action for men, if we talk about affirmative action for men, if we talk about affirmative action for women, it is in support for women programs. We also need to create programs for men that will enable them to open up. if we have to be very pragmatic and say that we need to start. There is a time that Sakaja said, when we were talking about femicide, Sakaja said that we are opening safe spaces or safe houses for women. We talked about what I think in Rhoda. Why don't we start to establish such centers also for men, safe houses or safe events for men, so that they can always get there and open up and talk to each other. When you are troubled, you have issues that
you know, Wiper, when you're talking about...
Wait
a minute. When you're talking about opening up safer spaces for men to talk, you know, for women, we have a lot of women right defenders group. I don't know if men you have it, and if not, what is stopping you from having such, let's say, such groups? I think that this would necessitate you talking more, but let's get this call from Anthony first. Anthony, good morning. Anthony?
Yes, I'm Anthony from Muranga.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning. And I have a different opinion about that topic of men opening up. Because I'm a victim. And I tried to open up to a person for years.
Anthony?
And he kind of exposed what I opened up. And a different view of me. Yes.
Okay.
So I feel like sometimes it's a weakness for me.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Anthony, for calling in. We'll be getting into that issue that you raised in a few, but let's finish with Wiper, Kwanza.
Yeah, we were talking about
men right defender group, you know.
Men right defender groups. Let me tell you, I know how the lobby groups, these groups that come, the NGOs that are in support of women programs and vulnerable groups, it has been presumed, this narrative that our men are stable. That is the reason as to why this conversation that we're having here, it is delayed. Because for the longest time we have assumed that men are always strong, men always don't face these issues of mental health. So it is now a clarion call for us to now, even as individuals and as society, we need to come up with frameworks to support, or rather to initiate groups that are in support of such programs towards the men. And also, this thing is also not finances. I had somebody say that it starts and ends with finances. I am talking from a point of experience. I am not rich, I don't have a lot of money. But I can assure you, or I can tell you for free, and it is a fact that even these people that you see driving big machines, people that we know as billionaires, even in this country, for example, also go through a lot of mental issues. Who would lie to you that even, for instance, or for example, the President of the Republic of Kenya today, don't you think that is going through a lot of mental issues?
Everyone is.
So it is also, this conversation, we should not try to restrict it to, let's say, financial issue or other financial constraint. It is something that is very collegial. It is something that is very generic. So when we talk about talking or starting to talk, because there are a lot of men outside here who have got a lot of money, and we presume or we assume that they have very stable relationships or stable families. But in real sense, they go through a lot of mental issues. You are a billionaire, but you can't get back to your home because your wife is always a problem in their house. So these are things that we need to discuss in a very expansive and comprehensive, or rather extensive manner, so that we get to understand the problem and to find a very urgent solution, because this matter is a matter of urgency. Men are going through a lot, and it is a matter of
Absolutely. Fact. And you know, we're not only focusing on finances. We have mental health, relationships, and work. But I want to hear from Johnson. Good morning. And just start us off. Tell us, or we take that call first. Diana, good morning. How are you? Diana is calling us from Busia. Diana? All right, we'll get her later. But nani anawanyamazisha, Johnson? Let's just start with that.
Okay, thank you, Anne, and good morning, everyone. Okay, my name is Johnson. Actually, I want to agree with my fellow learned friends of what they have said. First of all, actually, it is the society or how the expectation that has been put to men that normally silences us. Now, what we need to understand, allow me also to say something. In as much as men need to provide, as the Bible says, but remember, women, they were to complement. They are to provide a company. So in real sense, I understand that we have the roles of man and roles of women, but that does not mean that it is at any point men should do what, should support or should provide. But now sticking to the question, the first thing I've said that is the society or the expectation that has been labeled to men. At some points it makes us to do what? To silence ourselves. Then something else, I want to say that and agree with my friends that even in the government itself, there is no space for us men to express ourselves. First of all, you will agree with me that we have this thing called the women rep. It is good to represent women, but why not men rep? Also, men, we need to have a seat that we can represent ourselves. And something else, we come to understand that there is this bank called, I don't know, Kenya Women and all those. You can see that, yes, it is not bad to empower women. And the way you say that, and others say that, for quite long, men has been supported. But you get that it's not publicated that this one is for men. So what we need to say, or rather why this topic is so important, we understand that this men's issues, it has been a perennial thing. And it is high time to do what? To speak it out. And also maybe to agree with men, or to advise men rather. In most cases, we tend to die with our own problems. I will agree, because the reason why we tend to die with our problems is because even the person you want to express our problems to still is going through the same problem. So it's like adding or topping up another problem to that person. So you better do what? Keep quiet. But now, what we need to understand is that when we share a problem, that's the difference between the life lost and the life what? Saved.
All right.
Yeah.
Just hold on to that. Mutua is still on the line. Mutua, good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Talk to us.
My name is Mutuma. I'm from Meru.
Okay.
What I wanted to say is that I think men should not talk in this way. Men, when you talk, like we are creating like masculine men and feminine men. You get my point? So like for masculine men, for a man to be masculine, a masculine man, you have to be able to handle that stress. That stress that society is giving you, you need to be able to handle that as a man. But the moment you express what you're feeling is like you're competing with the woman you're with. To express yourself, to express, even the woman will feel like some type of way, because you are like, there are two feminine men in the same household and they can't work.
Mutuma, you know, I will just tell you that is in your head. That is just in your head, because women sometimes don't actually care about whatever you have to say, but we hear you. Any reaction to that, frankly? Gideon Akoredi. Gideon?
The Bible says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. If we are not empowered, if we don't have knowledge, actually we will suffer. And that is actually the reality. Why am I saying that? If we empower the generation of men, I think the whole society is empowered. Because we have back in our mind that a man is there. There is that mentality which cannot quit from the discussion, that a man should be there. But how can it be there if they are not empowered? And in terms of maybe even mentioning the areas that need to be empowered, leadership, governance, employment, and even our lifestyle that we live in our society. If you are able to tackle all those areas and give them a platform that is well equipped, that is well open, I think we will have the best productive society within us. And that is actually the reality. Let me just quote one thing by them. When now you come into the world of employment, you find that it's hard. And I will quote the word of my brother, which he said previously, that when you go for an interview with a lady, the interviewer, maybe you will not see the qualification that will be there, but you will just see the thigh of a lady and actually say she's qualified to the employment. Now, I want to relate that. Why am I saying that? Because whoever, maybe I don't mean that it is a man or a lady, but you find the assumption or even lack of knowledge behind supporting these people, they are quite different. Why? Because they are not empowered. And that is actually, you find, when you get out of that room, the next day, the lady will call you and she confirmed that, yeah, I actually have already reported to her. But you wonder why? Because there is another qualification that he surpasses you. As a man, the first thing that actually I will feel, where did I go wrong? You see, so that is actually the reality. So if you are able even to empower even the senior most people who are creating the space, you find they will be able to have the reality. And that is actually the assumption that we made. men should be there because they are strong, they will be able to work. Mention of the mjengo that actually we have within our society. You find a man is told, wake up and go for mjengo. And actually we are having that habit currently that ladies are also reporting. But why men? These are also human beings. Should we create even the soft job for them? Should we be able to create a space for them? Because they are human beings.
But we have women also in engineering, the tough
yes,
jobs.
I'm mentioning that because the reality is people lack knowledge on these things. And actually we are just trying to brush or we are just trying to talk about it. But you find, as Gideon and I come today and talk, the first challenge that I will encounter in the society, what are you saying? You are a man. You see, there is that mentality.
Okay.
Have we created a space for them?
Sawa,
in
sawa.
terms
Wacha
of
tusikie
policy.
Njagi anasemaje kutoka Ruiru kabla aende. Njagi, good morning, how are you?
Good morning. Am I audible?
You are. Talk to us.
Yes. I would first like to say that if you look at statistics, yes, they show that the current views of your panel are unordinary because you have men, you have all men in there, and 100% of them say they don't open up. I am not sure there is anywhere where you can go and get a statistic like that, even if you did a survey. So I guess you need to ask those men to be honest. That is where opening up starts. Your panel should be honest and say yes, at least one of them. Yes, I opened up and this happened and this happened. And that is the issue I find, especially because I know all of them want to be politicians. So I would like to say they started off to a bad start. They are now being what the other politicians are. That's my view. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Njagi. Njagi amewashika.
Amesema hatusemi ukweli.
Yeah, amesemi ukweli, but I know.
No, but I think maybe the question should have then been, the fundamental question should have then been,
yes,
opening up to who? Because that's a very important question.
Now
because,
that makes me...
No, but because I find that a lot of us, we are able to say we do not open up. And yet we speak about a lot of our issues with our friends. So that's why I said to who. Because I think one of the most effective ways of opening up that have been there over time is peer-to-peer. Men are raising each other, and maybe that's what we should do more now, that we learn to raise one another. We learn to do a brother-to-brother talk, so that as men, we are able to, between each other, create that safe space to be able to address each other's issues. Because tunaweza kuwa hapa na bro hana fare, anataka kutembea mpaka town na aniambii. You get what I mean? So nikishafika town ndiye ananiambia ati, hey bro, by the way nimemagiwa hapa DCI. What do you mean umemagiwa DCI? Kwani ulikuwa unatembea? Unajua sikuwa na fare. So we are addressing a secondary issue, and yet angeniambia before tutoke. That niaje, I do not have means za kufika pale na pale. Of course there is the stigma and shame that comes with it, that has been made. That's why I said it's a systemic issue from the beginning, that we've been made to know that share with each other is a sense of weakness. And maybe that's what we need to turn into strength. That we should now say that yes, men are still leaders of the society, but as a leader of the society, this is what we should accept as well. So that, you see the way we tell our president, kubali uambiwe, the way we tell our MPs, kubali uadvaisiwe. Even us in our own small personal capacities, we should start enabling our, including our children, our friends, our what, that when we have this peer-to-peer, maybe we are able to now create those spaces ourselves.
But how do you define a safe space as a man? Who do you now choose who to share with and who not to share with?
A safe space is just lack of judgment. A place you can be naked and not feel
being judged. I
do not feel like you have an opinion about my nakedness that does not lead to a solution. It's just you judging me and telling me, kuna. Is more about you listening and validating, because validating is also a very important part of the solution finding. That a lot of us, like the issue, I'll use the example of the issue I've said, the affair. Ati mwanaume umekosa fare, sasa unataka kulia, we kwenda town, sini hapa. Town sini hapa bro, si utembee. So the next time you will not say about your problem ya kukosa fare because now you feel like the last time you said it was invalidated. So the safe space is just basically places where you can be naked and your problems will be valid.
Okay. You know, earlier today we asked our audience what's holding men back from talking, and we did that on X. We had very interesting feedback, and I don't know if we can have them now, Director. Okay. So we have Engineer Nyasikera Pale saying the last man who opened up was Jesus to his father. He got crucified. Okay, that is so interesting. Anaendelea akisema opening up to women is a recipe for disaster, future ammunition. Okay. Jacosele said, I talk so you can use it against me. Hiyo iko mbali kidogo. Richie is saying, talking for us is useless. I will be battling depression, but if I talk, the possibility of anything coming out of me talking is minute. Why? No one will listen, no one gives a damn, no one will offer to help or do anything about it apart from the usual, all will be well. And that brings us back to, who do you tell?
Yeah, but you know, as much as I do not want to invalidate their opinion, okay, maybe I stop hogging this space. Yes.
First, let me say this: we are having. My brother is saying the truth. Our men are battling a lot. We are going through a lot. For instance, I happen to come from a remote village called Ndalu. Mimi kupata tu msichana mwenye these career women, these career women. Let me tell you. We've tried seducing so many of them. Lakini kwa sababu just because see what Anne? Just because they tell us a lot of things by the way. Utaambia nani? Utanyamazia, unakanyagia tu, si ndio? Unaambiwa kama una gari kanyaga. Sijui kama una nini kanyaga. How wenyewe kwao they don't have those vehicles. If you get a man who is a graduate, he will marry a lady. He will not look at the career this lady took, hangali hiyo. But a woman will want to see, where will fanya nini? You see, I want to be married to a man who has some status. You see, but now the women, for us men, we are not looking at the status because we believe that we are all creatures from God's image. So we handle each other on the same level.
Yeah.
But our women, these career women, please, where you are, tupelekeni pole pole. Because let me finish by saying this. Let me finish by saying this. You know what, Anne? For instance, today I went to a family. I just dress up anyhow and walk in one nice family within Ndalu village and maybe say, you know what, me I wish to marry your daughter. Mama ya huyu msichana will tell the lady, wewe huyo kijana hapana. The parents of this lady, sometimes they are upbringing of these girls. They tell them, we want you to get married through harusis, through what. But now for this, for instance, Mimi, I feel we can start from where we can, then in future we can progress together. But now the current women, these career women, wanataka wewe tiaru uko hapa, atoke tu huku na akuja akae hapa.
Tony,
Bona usikuje tuanzie hapo.
For you to react to what Evans is saying. Yeah. Is there a problem with women wanting to start from the top?
I think that then means that we have shifted this discussion from why men need to talk to gender equality. You see, and I think for us this is a very simple discussion: why men need to talk and why it is not why women need to talk, meaning that women are talking. So for me, I think it is a very simple thing that why do men need to talk? It is because if they don't talk, we have seen what has been happening over the recent years. You see, how many times have you had men killing the children and the wife and killing himself? So many times, India. And I think Francis Mboga in Betrayal in the City says that just like different liquids have different boiling points, different human beings also have different breaking points. So I think we've been lying to ourselves for such a long time. And I'm very happy that we have already having this discussion. I think back in the past, men were required to have serious discussions. So even for this discussion we are having today, men should be talking things about politics and about sports and about all those things. So for me, I'm just happy that we are having this discussion and it means that we are in the right direction.
We are progressing. Yes. Wiper?
Yes. And first of all, let me start by responding to Njagi. Njagi has called and he has condemned us that we are being dishonest. I think Jackie has
politicians.
He has got no moral wavelength to speak for us.
No?
We are being honest.
No, he's part of this conversation.
We are being honest by saying
Spoken like a true politician.
we are just being
He's
honest
part of
by
us.
saying that we haven't opened up anywhere. So if he has opened up somewhere, let him speak for himself.
But
We
Franklin
have to
here
be
has
very
opened
honest.
up. So ulianza kusema you have opened up.
And then if we start to argue,
Take your microphone.
if we start to argue that, women, there are those there is a manner in which the there are those gender responsibilities, and just naturally there is some nature also balances gender. If we start to argue that ladies prefer this to this to this, we are going to again start to say that as men we are now going to demand for dowry from women. So there is that difference. There is just where we need to strike a balance, and there is also things that we can never start to talk about here. So one of the things that we need to really talk about is how to find a solution. We need to, how are we going to help, because our system of governance, because this one is a part and parcel of the jurisdiction of the government. How are we going to push for this agenda of this, or rather this conversation into parliament? Because for the longest time, we all agree here. We are all unanimously agree here that the man, or rather the gender of the men, we have been sidelined in totality. So this sidelining, how are we going to eradicate it? We are going to eradicate this thing through starting to push very hardly for the men gender to also be considered as the women gender has been considered.
Will that make you as men open up more?
That one, I tend to believe that with the recognition of the government, we should just come here and even make a press and say that it is now the issue that we face as men should be declared as a national disaster. So that if we declare it as a national disaster, the government will start to chip in. There are a lot of international, rather the global view that will start to, and then moving forward we shall start to mainstream focus, or rather emphasis on matters that affect men. Because we don't need to really focus on granular matters. We really need to talk about pragmatic issues and issues that are of pertinence and things that can be inculcated to bring this to an end, because I foresee a situation where beyond 2027, the rate at which men are going to commit suicide in this country is going to be very high.
And why do you say so?
I say so because I have interacted with the majority of us men, or rather not even interacting, because for men you have to go and see. Men will not tell you. You are trying to suggest that men, we tend to talk a lot. Whatever, when we meet, or rather when you see me have a conversation with my fellow man, it is something that is purely, it is either politics, or we are talking football, or we are talking some other thing. We are not going to focus on what really is hitting me as a man. So we really need to focus on this. We need to set up a policy. I will work today where we can work today and submit some policy recommendation to parliament so that we see on how this thing can be enacted into law. We have to work with the Office of the Gender and Affirmative Action, State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action. This is the program that we have. Stop focusing on women alone. Strike a balance. Let us also focus on men. We need institutions that are going to cater for this.
Yeah, Jackie is right. Politicians happen. But let's hear it from Josh is ready. Let's get from Josh first.
So to begin with, let's be honest actually. So I can say I'm raised in a family. Okay, what a case where you are raised in a family where the firstborn is a lady. Then you get yourself as a father.
Lift up your microphone, Josh.
So you understand, let's be just honest. Let's not talk on a point that we men, we're trying to put ourselves in a situation where we are capable of doing while we are not. You understand? There is no usefulness of a head without a neck, actually. So for us to be helped, we need just to start talking as at now. What is opening up, actually? For us to relay our grievances, we need to start talking. That is opening up. So there's no way we can just start with a given initiative as why men need to talk. We need to start by ourselves from this point. You need to talk to a fellow man. Actually, I got in a situation where my friend had a breakup with a lady. And from that point, we shared ideas. Actually, it was very, very wrong in a point that that one friend of mine wanted to commit suicide. But we talked about it, we shared ideas, and now is well. So as men, let's not embrace a culture where we think that we know. And there's a point that we can be helped by a lady or somebody. So I'm in a family of, let's say, 10, and we are both men and female. And I always talk to my sister. Actually, it's my eldest sister. And he tells me each and every day that we need to talk. However much I have a problem, I need to share. So let's not come up with a culture where we are not supposed to talk. we are not able to talk and we can't execute our problems. So I think as men, we need just to learn.
I know Njagi, wherever he is very proud of you.
Yeah. No, the family really is the smallest functional unit of a society. That if it does not start from the family, I mean, the legislative, because also, of course, the solution will be multifaceted, meaning it is not a simple solution. It is a compound solution to a compound problem. So then we will need all these solutions we are giving to work together, whether it is legislative, whether it's in the family, whether it's our religious leaders, whether it's in our culture, that we will need all of this to work together for us to be able to find a solution. But I'm agreeing with him that we need to start having these conversations between ourselves in the smallest possible units. And smallest possible units is peer-to-peer, friend-to-friend. How are you, my friend, if I can't tell you my issues? So that if friendships are based on this kind of fundamental issues, then we are able to eventually the two friendships become 4, 5, 7, 8, 10. By the time we are getting to legislate this matter now, say, let's have this and this. Because then you also, how do you then approach the legislation? Do you go to parliament and say that we are demanding that bodies start I mean, that's why I was asking. I was very interested to know how the affirmative action is going to look like. So that then you're not proposing, because our other problem as a nation as well has been proposing a path without a formula. That you do not know how I want to get there, I just want to get there. So that then if we start with these small steps of us talking to each, I'll give you an example. There is something Abel Mutua started the other day online. He was talking about, as men, how we need to talk to each other about cleaning up our act. Cleaning up our act basically is, a lot of men are either in jail or having problems with the government. If you go to our remand cells, ni wanaume wamejaa huko. Kwa nini? It's because of problems that could have been avoided. And how these problems could have been avoided, some of them is by talking to each other. We're able to help each other out of trouble. And that's how eventually we went for that meeting, and it developed into a slogan we call Safisha Rada. Safisha Rada is how a brother keeps another brother in check. And how you keep brothers in check first is first by opening up the platform for a conversation. So that siwezi kuhold accountable if we do not, if you are not safe with each other first. I can't tell you, I can't point out the log in your eye before I have told you, hey bro, na hiyo shati plug ni gani? Nipeleke town bana, hata mimi nijue mahali tutatoa mashati kalikali. We develop a friendship. After developing a friendship, now if I see you getting in trouble, I'll tell you, hey bro, hiyo chupa itakuingiza place mbaya. Bro, hiyo kitu unafanya itaku nini. So, pia.
Yeah, all right.
I think Anna, I support Nick, because it is time for men to talk, and I think when men talk, they heal. And communities, now it is time watafute groups in which men at least watakuja kuleta ideas zao. Na mimi kama manager wa Ngashira Care, ni make a lot of programs. Mwaso in Western Kenya, Bungoma, Vihiga, Busia, na Kakamega County. I think nataka men participate a lot, because these people, unasikia this issue yenye mtu ako na problem, then anakuambia Kubende, I have this, nitafanya aje? Then anakuambia, unamwambia siwende uambie tu, ambia tu Ann, atakwambia atanisikia aje mazee, atanichukuliaje? So you see that thing, that fear.
Fear of judgment.
Yeah, I think fear of judgment inafaa itoke kwa naume. And I think this is the time, and I know something is coming to be good. And I appreciate so much, Nick Kwach, because in your acting process, I've been doing something great.
Yes.
Also, men topics, I've been following it. And I think countrywide men, this is the time. Tafuta a good friend, kaa naye chini, discuss your issues, usiogope. Because nothing, because you find somebody, wacha nikufe. Ukufe wapi? Because ukikufa utatuacha na ladies watazaa tena.
Your tax nani alipe?
Yeah, that's nani alipe. Atuacha nikufe.
Okay, let's take a look at other tweets and then we can now react to them. Director? We have Latex there. I don't know if he's actually smoking Wanjala, but he's saying it is called being a man, always man up, do everything in private. And when things turns out bad, pick up in silence. It saves a lot. Does it save a lot? Johnson. I saw you umekata na smoking kabisa.
Okay, first of all, I want to say that when you don't express, it will suppress us. And when it suppresses us, it will explode.
Yeah.
A time is coming when the winds blows, we'll see the announce of the chicken. So it means that let us not wait for that time. You get that by the time it will be now seen, it will be in a dangerous point. So it means that when we share, what we need to understand that when we share as a man, we don't lose our manhood. We are still human. So it means that we also need to do what? To share. Allow me also to say something. In as much as we need government also to help us in this, I want also to, let us start from the family, the way my brother Nick says. You get that the way we have been growing, you get that the boy child is being told that you need to man up the way you have said. But now we need to do this from the parent. Parents should start teaching their children, also boys child, at a younger age, that they need to share. So this particular child will be growing that, knowing that when I share, I can be helped. And also I am a teacher by profession. And in CBC, this is what we do. We have created some programs that boys can do what all students can share. So you get that when they know it from the early stage, so they'll be growing with that knowledge that it is good to share. When I share, I do what? I can be helped. Understand that it has been a problem. That is why we are having this topic. So it means that from this time henceforth, men should be doing what? Should be sharing. So what we need to ask ourselves, whom do we want to share with?
Yes.
So in other words, we need to provide the avenue where men can express themselves. And let us also do what? Let us not hide, because when you hide, it will be bad with us. Thank you.
Neston, when he's talking about an avenue, what would an avenue look like for you?
I mean, an avenue would, so we start from social media. I think you hear of this trend of women in men's spaces, women in men's field. But the moment we will start hearing men in women's fields, then that's where the conversion sparks.
We've seen that trend.
I think very, very little. Because just think about a nanny. Just think about a nanny. I'm sure the first thing, frankly, that's come to your mind is a woman.
Is a woman.
You've not thought about a nanny who is a man. So if you can be able to tie that and have, like, now men in women's spaces without being judged that you're gay or something, then that's the start of that conversation. And even when you're at the back room, when David and Franklin might be very bad examples of people who want to start speaking up as men. Because 100% of the things we talked there were politics. Is that not true, frankly? But then when they're on air now, they want to talk about how men you need to start talking. That's a very bad example. So here, this is what I'm thinking. Where this thing started is that when we started empowering the woman, we forgot that the men who we termed as the oppressors were very toxic. So how are we able to reduce this toxicity than women now coming up so that you can be on the same level? How can you be able to meet each other in the middle line? That now the men are not toxic, the men can be able to talk about things, and now the women can also be able to listen. My girlfriend happens to be watching this, and I'm sure she's the only person I share things with. But even for me, I'm trying to get into a space, and I'm asking the panel which is here, can we have a tribe of men? Can we now sit down and talk about issues? Frankly, are you aware probably I didn't take breakfast in the morning? You didn't ask me, but trust me, the 20 million that Ruto gave to the church, all of us talked about.
We talked about it.
That is crazy. If you can get out of that space, then you can be able to now start thinking of how do we, and it's not even about leadership, not even about position. It's us being in the capacity of, for example, it's a norm for a man to be an engineer, but it's not a norm for a woman to be an engineer. When a woman is an engineer, they're celebrated. Why don't you now come back, start celebrating the small wins that men have? If you get a car, let's celebrate you. If you become a teacher, let's celebrate you. Absolutely.
And even smaller than that.
Even smaller than that.
Smaller, because the point that he raised, and I really wanted to contribute to it, was the moment we do not express, and when it explodes, it explodes in very bad ways. Because right now, statistically, a man is 3 times more likely to commit suicide than a woman because of these issues we are facing. And last year alone, we had 170 femicide cases happening. And who is committing these crimes? It's the men who are not talking. That's why we need to talk to each other. People are going to jail because they are not talking to each other.
Yeah.
This year, I think the first 2 weeks alone, we had already reported almost 15, close to 20 femicide cases in the country. Even when our women are going to the streets and they're asking, oh, why? Who are we asking to be protected from? Is because now we are expanding that conversation and saying even the women who are raising the men, they should now make the men realize that they are their open, comfortable space.
Yeah.
They are their space. So that between us we can talk, between brothers, sisters, as he said, which is a very good thing as well, so that the man is able to get that thing out before it becomes toxic.
Yeah. Let's take a look at other tweets and then we'll react. Tunaanza na Kamuri anasema pale, whatever you say shall or will be used against you in the court of law. Uko familiar with that line? Anauliza hivyo. Ni Anthony anasema jikaze kama mwanaume. We say when a man decides to talk, it's because he wants it solved. So you have to make sure you have details na imefika mwisho. Ladies, just talk, iwatoke. Mbona, why don't men talk, iwatoke? If we can talk...
Because we get invalidated all the time. We get invalidated all the time. You talk something, and the moment someone can tell you something very deep, you're there telling your girlfriend, venye, oh, mimi unajua, oh, tangu simani, nini. The next thing you'll be told, we ni mwanaume bana. That's why we don't talk.
Okay, I'm coming to you in a few, but let's get this call. Mambo, good morning.
Good morning.
Talk to us.
Okay, unaongea na Fracha Mambo kutoka Naivasha.
Karibu sana.
Okay, naona mnazungumzia kitu cha muhimu sana hapo hivyo kwenye studio. Kwanza kabisa nikisema kuna jamaa ule wa ile nini amefuata t-shirt ya box.
T-shirt ya dot.
So huyu jamaa ameongelea mambo ya create friends. Unaona? The most important thing we can do is to create friends. Unaona?
Yes.
Tuunde ule urafiki. Amezungumzia mambo ya mfano kwamba mtu labda mtu unaweza sema anauza nguo ama amebuy nguo. Ndio?
Yes.
Sasa una ile urafiki kwa kumuuliza kwamba nguo ni dongapi? Unaona?
Yes.
Sasa hiyo tu kuuliza nguo ni dongapi, huyo jamaa atakwambia kwamba ni hii pesa kwanza hii pesa hii nguo ni pesa fulani. Unaona? Akikwambia hivyo na open up, unaanza wewe nawe wakikuuliza unakuwa open kwa kusema hivi na hivi unaunda urafiki unakuja karibu. Unaona? Sasa hivyo pia tutajieleza ile tutakuwa na mambo na depression, mambo na nini. Unajua mtu anaweza decide hapo aongee mambo yake ya ndani. Anaongelea mambo ya politician, kuna mmoja ameongelea hapo. Anasahau mambo yake personal. Ninafunga. Anaongelea vitu vingine. Unaona? Sasa hivi tutatoa mambo ya depression hiyo, mambo na stress. Unaona? Madam.
Asante sana. Mambo ameongelea maneno muhimu hapo. Let's create friendships. But Evans, you have something to say.
So on creating spaces, I think first and foremost, umesema tuseme tutoke. Kile mimi nataka kusema ni kwamba we also as my brother said here, we are requesting the government of Kenya that please come up with a kitty that can also facilitate these town hall meetings. Umesema tuongee. When the government gives us a kitty and we say that maybe we have been talking about men's conference day, why can't we make it into reality so that we have a special day that men gather in town hall meetings, then we get to share amongst ourselves what is really pinning me down, what is really making me not to speak up. Within that town hall meeting, somebody will come up and will say something that I'll feel I think I am accommodated and I'll open up to speak the truth. Another thing, I think also we need to encourage our church leaderships that please let them start coming up with programs in church, maybe after the service. Let the churches have some sessions whereby the men remain behind and have some 30-minute talk so that they get to encourage each other. Like this, maybe we say last week we had these issues. How can we go about it? How can the church leadership help us to sort out these issues? Another thing, let's look at the medical camps. Most of these camps that you see, wamesema sijui Safaricom is offering this and this. The treatments that are undertaken there, mostly you find that we are dealing so much on maybe breast cancer, you see, things that are not generally focused on men. I think the medical camps that are being initiated in this country should now start coming up with programs whereby, at least in every medical camp that we are having in this country, let us have a session that deals with guiding and counseling to these men so that we get to solve these issues. I can give you a good example of, there is I remember, I think it was in 2021 or 2022, there is a woman who was doing some medicine in Eldoret. And the boyfriend walked to the hospital and chopped off the head. You see, if that gentleman will have gotten a fellow man through maybe such forums and had engagements, I think that wouldn't have happened. Our men are going through a lot. Some of them are in jail. They're behind the bars. But the real issue that is affecting them, nobody knows. Even in those cells, the police officers will not bother to get to know what made you do this and this. They just wait to arraign in court, ujieleze, wakufunge kifungu ya maisha, and that is all. I think when we have these sessions, they will help us to come out of this kind of menace that we are going through. So I will encourage that we are not saying that we are competing women. Please, let us not have it as we are competing women. We are just saying that let us have a boy-child empowerment. Let us have a boy-child at least equipped with some knowledge on how he can survive in this society. Saying that does not mean that we are demeaning our women. We love them so much, but we are encouraging them that let them also be friendly to us. So that if you feel like the economy is too harsh, and why should you pin me so much? Nikuletei, nikufanye. Just understand me. Get to understand me. Get to understand
Let's take
me.
this very, very short break. The conversation here is very heated. We are talking about breaking silence, why men need to talk. Stay with us. You're watching Morning Cafe.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's mind. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe. It's Relationship Wednesday, but today we're talking about breaking the silence, why men need to talk. As you can see, it's an all-men panel here, and tukiwa hiyo break, they were opening up. They were opening up, and sijawambia tunarudi intentionally ndio tupate mwingine hapa ki open up. But if you're not
Open up. As a man, you just need to have confidence. That's the first thing. Usiangalie ati nani anafanya nini. I think inakuanga kitu mbaya sana as a man uko unasafa ndani, atumenyamaza ati wataniona. You know, time is going. Siwezi sema ati watanicheka, no. Like me venye niko hivi. Evans is my friend. Anajua kitu kikuwa mbaya. Mimi wanasemanga in public. Then my mom is my raven, anajua hata ana watch. So I think this is the time. And I think venye tumesema we are going to make a lot of programs. Na najua men are coming out. You know, I've seen in Twitter some men kusema kuwa manaume. Like in Luyaland they say about msata. You know, we cannot just say at be msata. And msata when you are suffering. Najua mimi like I saying.
What is musatsa? You know, you have to
be a man.
Be a man. Be musatsa. Kijana be musatsa. It means be a man. And I think kama mi kubende, I'm an example that I open up. And in future, Mungu akipenda. I think when I'll become the Kamega senator.
And you're not holding your microphone.
Yeah, I'll champion open conversation and men's mental and services and push for policies that create safe space for men and to express themselves. Because strong men are not those who suffer in silence, but those who speak up and seek help. I think I'll do that in 2027.
Let's hear from Gideon.
Thank you so much. That is the first thing that actually I wanted to react earlier before, especially the conversation we are having. You see, we cannot just keep on to brush. We cannot just, because we have the knowledge about these things, and that's why we are talking. The first thing, the implementation of this idea that we are talking, how men should need to open up. You see, it's not everybody here is giving the best idea. Everybody is actually contributing to the best knowledge. But actually, how can you be able to implement this idea that we are having into a reality? In terms of maybe stating the reality, we need to speak up. And actually, unajua kila mtu anaweza changia, anasema tutaongea, tutasema, na ni ukweli wanasema. But how are we implementing that? The first thing, as men, can we be able to believe ourselves and actually realize the reality that we are going through this and we need to speak up? Let me just quote an example, and I will just refer the mess that happened in 2024, the demonstration for the Gen Z. Actually, the majority of the people who were shot were young men. And actually in the demonstration, ladies were there. I don't mean that some of them were not actually, but that incident happened and we saw. But actually, men were coming boldly to advocate the justice. But actually the arm that was strong feel that men should be actually, not to be should, but actually men are the most people who are affected in the society. But the fact is, we need to create a solution, and the solution should actually originate from us. As an example, and as I've heard the honorable friends here who are interested in the political sphere, they are opening up. And actually, you already hear the solution. When they take the role, when they take the leadership, you hear their solution that they are going to offer and actually create for the men. But the reality is, we need to create the program. As example, I personally as the CEO, there are some of the programs that actually we have created within the space. The first thing, we can talk of the employment. The solution should come actually creating empowerment program under the entrepreneurship for both women and male. Because when you create that one, as Cynthia, as Onyango, or as Edward, you are able to work hard because you have an aim goal. Why? You have actually solved the issues of dependency that is within us. In terms of the leadership space we have, how are we creating the program that actually align and solve the lifetime problem that we are encountering? Can you be able to have many forums? As I've heard some of them actually suggesting, should the government have a kit that should allocate to this gender? I do agree that should we create a program for both male and female, sitting together and actually discussing and creating that awareness and preparing them for the leadership process that actually we are having tomorrow. There is a lifetime thing that actually we need to create. So in terms of the economy, which relate to dependency that actually we have within us, there are quite some of the program that we need to create. And the reality should originate from us. We need to speak up, and not just speaking up, but even implementing what we are talking about. My brother have mentioned one thing, and allow me to create. Out of 1,000 jobs that actually we have, or even the top position that we have, men are occupying. But when we come into the system that actually riding or even actually driving them, they are women. So you find we are only seen at the top, but actually in the, let me just say, kwa ground ni tofauti. But today, I will actually agree and actually suggest we need to have a hashtag that goes like, we need to create smile to men. We need to create smile to men. And actually, how can that be created? By actually letting them, the norm that actually people talk about, sema ikutoke. For that to be implemented, can we create a smile to them? Can you be able to have a forum for them? You see, I've had one of my boss actually, sir, and I'll just quote that. He was able to do a campaign. And the first thing that actually he did was actually to buy flowers to some of the members of county assembly, just to ensure that the ladies have actually bought that impress. You see, rather than giving them 100,000, 50,000, or any other amount, you can actually buy a flower. And actually, as a lady, she feel. And you know what he did to men? He just actually gathered them, buy them a packet of mchele, unga, and you find that men, when you go home, he feel like for sure somebody has catered for me. So there is a way that we can deal with all these things that actually we are having within us and accept the reality to hit us, but not actually brushing around. There is one of the fan who actually make a call, and he said one thing: some of the people who are actually are talking in a language of political sphere. No, these are young men who have ambition. These are young men who are speaking up. Example, when you mention that and you're having this conversation, that person will go and say, did something that I said didn't make sense. So we are actually the enemies of our progress that we are talking about. So the reality should be improved.
Let's hear from Wiper.
As we are having this conversation, I'm just trying to be very cautious in my mind. And as a very good student of the current president of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, when Trump got into office, the first executive order that he signed was to declare that we only have 2 genders in this world. So there has been a lot of confusion on as to how many genders we have, because some very funny genders are coming up. And this is some things that we need to really stop. So as we are having this conversation, and even as we humbly implore our men outside here to speak up, I'm also trying to be very cautious in my mind and saying that in this spirit, or rather as we have this discourse, do women risk losing our identity to women? So these are things that we also have to be very keen and careful about. And even as we give very creative proposals, or rather recommendations or prescription on as to how we are going to mitigate this menace, where we are talking about having conversations, where do we have conversations in this country? The conversation, or rather the information system of these countries, is squarely anchored on the mainstream media, or rather the media. We have mainstream media, we have social media, but it is largely mainstream media, because if we look at TV47, Citizen TV, and TV, those are the things, or rather areas where the systems where people get information. So how are we going to disseminate information? If we get to the mainstream media, where is your focus? Where does your focus lie? I am very proud of you as TV47 for having this conversation. For a period of 2 hours, you've allocated 2 hours for having this conversation. But look at what Jeff Koinange, or just what does Jeff Koinange intend to have as a discussion in the evening? He's intending to host to Moses Kuria and Richard Onyonka. So the conversation, the media, the mainstream media has been overtaken by things that are not of pertinence.
I can assure you that maybe they also.
So these are the things that we have to change moving forward. The focus and the topical issues that you wear as the mainstream media, because there is a lot of focus, or rather the traction that you have outside here. So you need to you need to focus, or rather shift the kind of debates or the kind of conversations that you have. Encourage your fellow media houses to also have allocations for this one, and even on radio. There is this thing in Radio Jambo called patanisho. Patanisho, there are real issues. I tend to believe that they are not created, or rather they are not that things that are scripted. But people who are there is this guy who, somebody talks a very serious issue and then he laughs. So it's laughter a solution to this problem. So these are the things that these are the things that really we face outside here as men. So the media, because
that's what makes that show.
Yeah,
no.
I think
the manner in which you package your stuff. Also, if you start to laugh at issues to do
and
breakups,
it's talking about.
So these are things that we need to disparage and to do away with. That is my personal opinion, and that is not opinion of TV47.
You're out of order.
Yeah, sorry.
That is my opinion.
I think really, or first, of course, the issue about media and audience and whatnot is the whole issue about the egg and the chicken, which one drives
first.
which one. I don't know if it is the interest of the audience that drives the conversations or the other way around. So I don't know, that's a complex issue.
That's for me
but,
to decide.
Yeah, but as to whether our masculinity is at stake, if we start having these kind of conversations, I think the biggest victim of patriarchy is the man. We have been made to think that us being the way we are is what makes us the leaders. And yet we are now seeing that us being where we are being put is what's hurting us. That for example, as a man, you're told that usiwahi kubali bibi yako alipe rent. So umekosa, yeye ako na pesa, lakini sasa, so unakufa na depression because the society is telling you, do not lose your identity as a man. Never let your woman to pay the rent. What is this doing to your mental situation? So eventually, if you can't cope up, it will start bringing issues in the marriage, you lose your family, you start... So that's what I'm saying. The biggest victim of patriarchy is the man. Let us not allow ourselves to be boxed in this traditional man that was there when sukari ilikuwa 2 shillings. The current man is now living in a world where sukari ni 500. Nitaleta 300, nisaidie 200. Yeah, so that we are not, yes, we are afraid that, that thing we are afraid of holding, that as a man, I'm losing my identity. That identity is what is killing us.
Yeah. Sema ikutoke.
Yeah, exactly. That identity is what is. I still agree that naturally we still have what we are affiliated to in terms of genders, that even generally as men, you find that if you put the sciences and maths and you put art and literature and culture on this side, you will find more women will gravitate towards the art and literature, and more men will definitely gravitate towards science and whatnot. That is just who we are, and that's fine. But when it comes to societal issues, let's not be, because it is that fear that has been holding these conversations back. We are not talking because I am afraid I will not look like a man if I speak. Nikisema sahi sina fare ya kwenda town, it makes me less of a man. No.
Umesema hiyo sana una.
Mnisaidie. Msiniwachili. Nimeona masuti ni mingi hapa. I've seen the politicians nikajua mtatoa kitu.
Ndio amesema sana. Let's take a look at some of the tweets and then we react. But as we wait for that, you've talked about patriarchy, and Glenn Zule here is talking about blame the patriarchy. It taught you to be a man from a very young age. Yes. That is Gwen Zule, a comment that has just come in. Yeah. We see engineer keep saying we do talk, we just finish our conversations in our heads before saying them out loud. Shouting will never give us solutions in this man-eat society. Hapo nadhani alikuwa anataka kusema in an argument. Sasa in an argument with a woman, now just know you can't win the argument. Our talk is via grunts and eyebrow raises since the caveman. Okay? Lakini sahi kuna wanaume wanawin arguments.
No.
I can assure you they are there. The number of times I've said umeshinda. Iyo iko jikaze. We took a look at that one already. Bizo tumeangalia, we read that one ya Martins. Ole Kayanyu is saying, because anyone you tell your story will laugh behind you instead of helping. No man is ready to help. Mwirigi, anasema judgment. You know, we were raised with a standard set that we never participated in setting. Now he says, we were told not to cry like girls. We were told to pursue certain courses as they are masculine. We kept girls in the same classes with boys in young age, making each group to hold back. Eugene anasema pale, I'm telling you currently I am in a very bad position financially after losing my business, but my male friends would rather buy me liquor worth 10K plus, but won't help me get back on my feet. Even just getting a 5K loan is a problem. Tony, I want you to react to that. To Eugene.
I think I want to agree with Eugene because some of these times there are some of our friends wenye pengine unapata anafanya forex nini unaona. But when you go to the friend unamwambia bro unafanya nini? Unapata amefunga laptop anataka
anafungua drink.
Anataka sasa bana hey bro by the way niko na kuna Valentine's hapa. Hebu leta tumbler you see. So I think that is part of the reason why some men don't open up unaona. But I also believe there are some of our friends when you at least kuambia like in the midst of our stories unapata saa zingine tukiongea story ya ball ama in politics you say by the way niko na hii yani you find that you open up unknowingly in the midst of all these conversations. So I like what Nick said that we should start by the small things unaona, like asking ourselves did you have tea in the morning, did you have fair vitu kama hizo, so that then it becomes easier to open up about the bigger issues.
All right. Johnson.
Okay, well, on what has been tweeted, I'll say that it depends with the type of friendship we are having. Let us have a constructive friendship. Just as the Bible says that iron sharpens iron, so man also need to sharpen man. So in that case, it depends with the type of friendship. So in as much as we need to share, you need to ask yourself, whom am I sharing this to? Is this person in the point of helping me? Or maybe I'm better than that person. So also it is good to do what? To need the sphere around us. If it is bad, it will end up making our lives miserable, even than the way it was before. Okay. So that one also need to be taken into account.
All right. Let's take a look at others. Kuna zingine, Director? All right. I have others on my phone, so let's just take a look at these ones first. Hilary Omondi is saying, man was born to soldier, your problems are your problems, and you'll have to figure out how to solve them without involving anyone. That defines what it entails to be a man. Nature, world doesn't have any favors to any man. That is Hilary Omondi. Do you have another one? Here this one is saying, men, this is Ochieng George. Men were born to defend and provide, hence they should not be at a point of vulnerability. That is Ochieng George. Blue Collection, Pali anasema, you open up to your closest friend, they cut you off. You open up to your crush, she starts ghosting you. Why would you open up to a You open up to your girlfriend, she starts looking for a better man. Men will learn to keep their stuff for themselves. Josh.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity once again. The problem is, whatever is there is men ni kama wanagopa
women
lose, not lose. Just the moment umeanza unataka impress somebody, hapo ndo umemess. Because there is no success without a failure. Actually, a stronger success needs a failure. So you must fail in order to learn to be successful. So miki tunasema ni we need just to start acting as at now. Here we are a congregation to go very many. I think we have friends, Tony has a friend, Franklin, you have friends. So tusingoje gava ndo intervene, ndo tusonge na hii maneno. Because the moment unaongoza 2027, as you say, this is 2025. Mbona hao watu wenye watakufa between a duration of 2025 to 2027?
That is
So it's our initiative to start
and I know
where we are.
They want to respond to you, like I'm here to protect you.
It's not a problem actually. I'm a politician too, and I'm in a position and I'm talking to many individuals. That is why we are here. And truth be told, let's not be ignorant about whatever we are saying. And if you check on the Twitter space, men are responding while ladies are silent. I got a lady who responded that we need to open up and say our problems. You know, you understand, we can't function, manze. Our head can't function without a neck. That is the truth. And if we want to build a relationship, we need to talk. Hakuna venye unaweza kaa kwa nyumba na dem na hauna pesa. Na uwezi mwambia labda kuna anataka kukusaidia. Wewe umetulia tu hapo watu wanalala njaa while the lady can offer something. So bwana tusidanganyane hapa.
Let's go past the shame.
Sema tutoke.
Bado tunataka kuwa strong. Hivyo tutamess na bado tutamess. That is why hii serikali unaona kila kitu inapangwa. Now we have a lot to do still. So we need just to act immediately. Tutoe easy rumors sijui we want to be successful while we are not. So do whatever you can do now. Don't get an E while you can get a D. So get that D and move on. We accept reality.
Just a point.
Sawa. Let's take a look at other tweets. Manake time inasonga. Brian is saying that's the difference between men and ladies. We don't talk because we are men, okay? We are men, that's why we don't do it. This is Jack, and he's saying in 2023, working with my sister, we tried a study on men's emotional experiences during fatherhood and highlighted that societal expectations and lack of support can hinder men from sharing their feelings. That is Jack. For my squad, we just revamped for accountability policies. Maybe you can zoom it, Asante. Accountability policies with good results, because we discovered that as a men's group, we previously would go on about politics, golf, dissective in space, that is X spaces, but we're all currently going through divorces, kugongewa, ghost mail, and layoffs. And you know, this is the problem, you know?
Yeah.
You're going through a lot, like you want to talk about
you want to talk
about football, you want to talk about golf.
It's constant.
Let's take a look at this last one. And Vicky is saying, why you want men to talk? Men are supposed to work silently, not talking too much like Kasuku. That is so funny.
Thank you once again. Every successful man, there
In
must
1
be.
minute, please. In 1 minute.
Yes,
Let's share
every
this idea.
successful man, there is a woman behind. And we are not here to actually compete. We are not here to say that we are the most, let me just say, special creature. But we are just here to talk. And this is a conversation that the world is watching. This is a conversation that we are trying to harness and actually let the public understand that us as men, we need a voice. And actually, I really want to thank my fellow honorable friends here. They have even given the idea the best that need to be discussed about. We need to come out, advocate on this one. My call to the entire world, those who are listening, those who are actually watching, the conversation still need to start with us. Let us actually come out and support. If there are programs that actually are there, let us engage these men. Let us not just actually have a conversation on television, but when we get out here, Gideon atakosa fare ya kumpeleka mali anaenda. The fact is, let us actually talk from now. Let us implement this one. Let us approach this one, that tomorrow we will be able to talk a success story. We have actually watched out, and actually I've heard people mentioning of a government. Government is there. The government cannot advocate just for the right of men, but it advocates the right of every Kenyan. The fact is, we need actually just to align ourselves to the right program that support us. And actually we seek help either from government, from development partners, to anyone to come and support the dream of this young, or not only just young, but general the group of men. So I think that is the call that actually I'm having. And I have, having worked in the corporate world, that actually currently I work with the universities and colleges. Peace Student Association of Kenya,
Right,
which is
time
an
up.
umbrella that unites us as
Unfortunately,
young
we
generation.
won't have time for your comment, but I would love for you, Nick, to give a parting shot in 1 minute.
In 1 minute, yes. I think, one, it's been proved over time that men do well when they collaborate with each other. The world is the way it is because we are collaborating and we talk to each other. So let's not lose that. And at the same time, let's start. My parting shot, I wanted it to really make it about the things that are really making us not be okay.
Yes.
Things like, ukisikia mwanaume, people are talking about money laundering. Hizo vitu tunaambiwa forex and what not. It is what is making the society hold us to a certain standard that we cannot reach. Because a few men have gotten their wealth through dubious means, are now putting pressure on the younger other ones that are trying to work their way into the nini. So one of the things, Mimi, talking about the policies the government should put across, is when corruption, when jobs, when money laundering and things like this are taken care of, and the other two are alcohol and betting, when they are taken care of, the mental state of the man in the society is going to improve immensely, and the peer-to-peer development is going to be seen.
Asante sana. Thank you so much for using the little amount of time you had. And we have a lot of comments coming from you guys. I don't know if the director can allow me to read just kidogo. All right. Here we had Fred Aparo saying men don't talk because they've been conditioned not to. Society has long pushed the idea that masculinity is about strength, self-reliance, and emotional restraint. From a young age, boys hear phrases like man up, don't cry, and be strong. We have other comments here. Shame and blame. This is from Chris Mavindu. He's saying shame and blame is the main issue. Of course, that brings us to the end of this conversation. 2 hours is never enough.
Ooh.
We should have had even more. Lakini asante sana for being part of this conversation. If you're watching online, thank you for calling in, for sending your feedback, and of course for my very, very gentle and amazing panel that was here with me in studio to talk about breaking the silence, why men need to talk. My name is Anne Odida. That brings us to the end of this conversation and to the end of Morning Cafe. Have a good day, good morning, and see you tomorrow, inshallah.